office, as well as the Mayor's Office of Public Engagement, led by the Mayor's Commission on Faith-Based and Interfaith Affairs, led by Naomi Washington Park, who's sitting in the back, preparing the music, controlling all. As I stand before you in the middle of National Crime Victims' Rights, I can feel the pain this experiencing every place that I go. It's almost palatable, it's almost something you can taste the smell of the air. Personally, I've lost a number of people to gun violence. In fact, at the top of the year, my little cousin was shot and killed at Richmond Pratt. She was 18 years old. The one thing that I know for sure is that the only way through the pain we all are experiencing is to take one step on the road to healing. While there are so many layers of victimization, from the actual event that happened to you, that violation, that harm, that trauma, to potential arrest, to prosecution, courtrooms, and everything that happens in the middle, the most important part of that work is done internally. Today, we bring this event to you to shift the focus away from the numbers, away from the statistics that we all hear each and every single day, away from the news and all of the things that continue to remind us of the things that are happening within our city. We want to shift the focus to focus on you, to focus on us, so that way we begin to heal and move forward. This evening, we will hear from Corinne Mahaffey, who is sitting in the front, Around McClain, who is sitting also in the front, to my right, Akeisha Washington, who is sitting in the second row, Christina Liu, as well as Michelle Parker. They will tell us not tales, not stories, but actual real life accounts of what has happened to them and how violence has impacted them each and every day that they live. But how they also have chosen to take one step, no matter how small, no matter how minute, down the path towards healing. I want to thank them personally for their courage and for using their voices to promote collective healing. I appreciate you all from the depths of my heart. Thank you. Lastly, we want to thank our viewers on YouTube who have joined us virtually. We want to thank Tamar Alexander, the Managing Director of the City of Philadelphia, as well as Vanessa Gerhardt, and the Salt Trust Collective, who is here to provide some ritualistic healing activities, our care room volunteers, and also Rabbi Linda Holton, who's seated in the second. The next person you'll hear from is Ramana, the Director of the Mayor's Office of Public Engagement, who will share some additional welcoming word remarks. I also just want to announce again, we do have some tea and refreshments in the back. And if you are feeling emotionally overwhelmed, you just need a minute to breathe and to heal in your own space. We do have a care room, which is located to the right of this space. So if you need a moment, there are trained professionals over there that can help you to kind of process whatever it is that you're feeling. So please take that time whenever you feel the need. You don't need to raise your hand. You can literally walk out and take the moment that you need. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome. My name is Ramana Akiyama, and I'm the Director of the Mayor's Office of Public Engagement. I want to thank you all for being here with us for this special time tonight. You just heard from our colleague at Deborah Holmes, who's the Office of the Victim Advocate. I want to thank her for being an integral part of tonight, being so thoughtful and preparing this wonderful time together. Mayor's Commission on Faith-Based and Interfaith Affairs will be here from Naomi Washington. We'll be part in just a few minutes. And I want to thank each and every one of you, and especially our speakers, for going to be sharing their stories tonight, just for your presence matters. The Mayor's Office of Public Engagement serves as the bridge between the community and the county administration, particularly systemically excluded populations who have been left out of decision making. We create space and empower residents to be engaged in their neighborhoods and with their government. And this year, the beginning of the year, when our office took stock of the most pressing needs in our city, it's not a surprise that addressing violence in our city rose to the top. We're a city that is made up of individuals and families and communities. And so in relation to addressing the violence, we need to understand the impact that it has had on so many of us. We're made up of families, neighborhoods, and as human beings, we're intimately and intricately connected, no matter where you live. in the city. We all feel the impact, and we're all experiencing grief and trauma. We're in this together. And in my own personal journey towards healing from trauma, I've learned to lean into the mantra that in order to heal, we need to feel. So I'm hoping that tonight we will have the and unlock some of the collective grief that has been weighing heavy on us as a city. We're going to acknowledge our deputy mayor and the Senator colleagues with us tonight, and now I'm pleased to introduce our city's managing director, Mark.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ramona. Thank you, Ramona, for this coming with us. Thank you. We've worked very hard on this. This is important. This is important for us, not for just me personally, the city official, but just to be here, listen to you, listen to your stories. None of us can do for what happened in the streets. For my next, so we remember June, my family. October, most respectful young man I met, running to the barbershop, and he was just here, soaking up the story, soaking up listening to what you call feelings. And just, just most respectful young man, this situation, he was taken away from us, taken away from his parents. And I've seen the changes, we talk about healing, no one knows how to heal. There's a process of healing. It is a process. It's a form of process because it never ends because there are moments that you just, you may think you get got through it or, to recover. And then something just happens and, I see the changes that, and he got that scar from his past from us, even everyone else, but you just doing the family function hurts. But also that's the hurt that some of you all tell us about tonight, and was the hurt that happens to the way too many people in the city. They were talking about not wanting to talk about numbers or anything like that tonight, but saying those numbers, those numbers represent a family. Those numbers represent a person who mother will be able to take something to say, go up and dance or do whatever, right? Or whether that's a young man, a woman, this all hurts us differently. I'm happy to be a part of this event tonight. I'm happy to sit back there and just hear your stories and help you as we all try to do this. I heard Nana, I heard recognized Vanessa Garrett earlier, but I'm actually just put it in. That's while she's deputy mayor for Office of Children and Families now, she for a long time has been my big sister, my work big sister, my real life big sister. Vanessa is someone who, when she first took the job of running the Office of Criminal Justice, and we put this roadmap for violence together, it was important to have her voice at the table. She's a black woman, and she's a mother to young black men. So this, hits and hurts a little different for us when we deal with this work and making that much more personal. So I just want to also recognize her as being in this room. She didn't know about this thing. So a little earlier today, when I told her I was grabbing her over here, and sit down. So before the hearing from you all, before we hear this flexibility, I just look forward to us being home. You'll have to have this event next year or the year after that. Most of the agents come crazy, but I really think involved in farmers prevention work since I was early 91. I was a student in the high school, kid, who went to school with us, got shot and killed. And it kind of changed our trajectory, the fact that just all over this country, we're still doing this. All over this country, it seems like the accessibility of guns is just that much more easy. To take these bright promising lights away from us, we just need to do something. And I know I'm making we won't be here as next year, but I know during love we will be. But one thing is inspired that we won't be here, we won't need it. Okay. Let me bring up the director of our Mayor's Commission of Faith, Things and Interfaith Affairs, Dr. Reverend Anthony.
You know, if the mailboxes were a time machine, I would send this to them. Gmail. Wow. I need all of them. Do you know what we have been able to live with? I know you've been holding on to this secret, this burden, this load that is breaking your back and breaking your heart. I know you've been afraid to tell anyone what's happening to you. Afraid because saying the words out loud will make you ashamed of them. Afraid because you feel like now your heart and mind and body have been wired for abuse. Afraid because you feel like once you begin to express your rage, you won't let it go. Afraid because you feel like once you start to cry, you won't be able to stop. I know. I know you feel like your pain is visible to everyone, even though you're trying to hide it. I know you feel like your pain must be invisible to everyone since nobody has checked on you, asked how you're doing, wondered why you can't look him in the eye anymore. I know. But I also know this. This secret is not yours to keep. None of this is your fault. None of this is your failure. You will survive this grief. And you are still amazing. You will still be able to love despite this beginning. The last thing that happened to you won't be the last thing that happens. And you will last too. You will last. Love, Mary. These are some of the words I would say to my 16-year-old self. 16. The age that my own daughter will be this coming September. 16-year-old man was living through year number 2 of being violated by a man who took sacred vows to teach me what it means to be faithful, to teach me how to love my neighbor as myself, to lead me to God. My 16-year-old self needed to know that there was something after the worst days of my life. And that's what I'm going to say to you as we begin this gathering. This gathering is all about holding space so that we can say to ourselves, our past selves, our present selves, that there is something after the worst days of your life. It's possible to live even when we have lost so much. It's possible to dream again even when the nightmares won't stop. It's possible to heal. Even if healing is slow and messy and, as Stuart said, stops and starts and never feels fully complete. We want you to know that in this place, no feeling is judged, not one. You can fall apart here. You can grieve what people have told you you should have been over by now. You can get yourself together tonight. You can speak the names of people that others have forgotten. You can grieve what violence has stolen from you. Your love, your sense of worthiness, your sense of control, your material resources. You can return to your body, as Ramon said. You can feel the things that you have stopped feeling. I don't know about out there, but in here, for the next hour and more together, you can just be. One of my favorite poems by Lucille Clifton says, they ask me to remember, but they want me to remember their memories. And I keep on remembering mine. I love this book. Here tonight, I want to invite you to be free to remember your memories. Remember what you've been told to forget about. Remember your losses. Remember remembering. Come back to yourself. Tonight, as you heard, we're going to hear stories about loss. We will hear sacred texts from survivors. And this, in a way, is like shining a light on what society would have us keep in. There are not spaces like this where you can just grieve and you can just admit that you've lost something unrecoverable. So I'm going to invite you to this first ritual. In front of you, you see 2 bowls of water. You see the water? And you see purple candles on the table. What I want you to do is come forward as you want to and take a candle. And as you take that candle, think about your life. What I mean by that is, think about your loss. Think about the names that you want to remember. Think about the memories that you hold dear. Whatever brought you in this room today, think about that. That's a light in the midst of despair. And I want you to take that candle and I want you to release it to the water. And when you release that candle to the water, the candle will give us light. Okay? Just a simple ritual to help us get in our minds and our hearts and our lives again. Okay? So I'm going to run to the back room, play some music, and then as you're wanting to, go ahead and come forward and take the candle. Place it on top of the water. It'll float and it'll add up. Okay? Thank you. Yes, Lord.
Thank you, Naomi, for that beautiful account of the letter you would have written, that you have written to your 16-year-old self. And thank you to everyone who participated in the ritual and lighting the candle over the water as symbolism for the light that shines on us all, despite the trauma that we all have endured. As Naomi was speaking, and she indicated that our memories have to be our own, it reminds me of the fact that I am a sexual assault survivor, and I honestly forgot for about 10 years until an event called Take Back the Night when I was a freshman in college. And that is when I remembered that for 3 years, I was only remembering what I was told to remember, as opposed to what actually happened to me. So I invite you all to take this time, take the time behind us to remember your story, not the story that anybody else wants you to remember. Your story, your truth. I have the honor of welcoming our first survivor speaker,
today. Corinne Mahaffey, who is sitting seated in the front as I indicated, who I will be honest, is nervous today, but she comes here with an open heart, a desire to allow you to heal through her story and to heal with you. I've had the honor of meeting Corinne in the past several weeks since I've been in this position, and she is a courageous woman who loves her family to the depths of her soul. You know, I have this little paragraph that I wrote after Corinne and I spoke, and none of that is on it, but that is what I would like to say to you today as an introduction to Corinne Mahaffey, who is a 35-year-old survivor of domestic violence. She has suffered at the hands of others since she was about 17 or 18 years old. But more importantly, she has dedicated her life to being an amazing mother. She has fought to protect her children, two of which are seated to her right. She's done that despite her trauma. She's done it while healing through her trauma and working through it. She recently decided that she wanted to use her story to empower others. And this is the first time that she's done so. So I welcome Corinne Mahaffey to the podium with love, to share with you her story. I told her if I had to, I would stand up here and hold her hand. So I'm gonna offer that to you, because I was serious. You want me to ask it? You feel like that?
Hi, everyone. Very gracious. Obviously, don't know where to begin. I started to back out today because I was very nervous and trying to keep my emotions under control. That's pretty hard, especially when every day on the news or you have says about on the phone and it's off, it's something else going on. You can't let your kids go outside, with the, thinking for, family who's secure enough to do that. But once the door closes, you're on out, just like, you don't know what's going to happen. Part of it was ignorance and lack of, thinking of others, because this is all said of the love, and I can't stand this call back. Because it's not the truth. Each other every day. And they don't take an account for the innocent ones sitting next to them or empathy and their kids. And I'm so sorry that anybody who's lost their child, sister, brother, anybody's loved ones. I can't even express how sorry to anybody that I have to do with that. I lost mine in a different way. But it's so frustrating. Charles is sitting at one door. People can't. But when it's one of their own, you hear about it and you see it on the news, broadcast everywhere. And if you're not a law official, they don't pay attention. Or just another sense that we can street. They don't understand that we're people show. And just because they have on a blue shirt or the badge doesn't make us any less of a person. We got feelings and it matters too. And this started when I was 17. I tried for so long to help, but everybody else wants to understand me, they said, I would share it. And at every turn, that's the good hour was first running in the beginning, but turned out to be somebody else behind closed doors. And in front of people, they were great, they were perfect, they did anything wrong, but when the doors closed, it was just that person and myself. there was a whole bunch story and reason why they were doing the things they were doing to me. I would pay for what they had in my life. You know, I didn't do it to them. I did it to them to another child. I was like, you know, family with them. And the first time I was about 18, I just had my 17-year-old son. He's not here today, but for a year because he was frustrated because he was released. He wanted to protect me. He was upset because I told him right. Because one of my users is Alan Bailey right now. After he lit my house on fire, my son's breakfast house on fire because I told him I didn't want to be a neighbor. I said I want to take care of him and his son. It wasn't my job to do that. I signed up for a partnership not to be his mother and he's a kid. But the first time I was 18, I was in a relationship with somebody. This person I was in jail for murdering his grandson, his 2-year-old grandson. After my daughter enjoyed sitting over there, she was one of his targets. She was 9.5 years old, and these was she wouldn't eat breakfast, so he thought it was okay. And today she just turned 18 and 19, and she takes medications for seizures for multiple shots. My son was baby at the time, he was my 17-year-old son. They had nightmares of a monster. They described him to his sleep, but they fully realized they just knew they were hurt and they're scared. And he just learned was the only after he murdered his other son. After the city knew all of these things and this person was not out on there or whatever. And just nothing after that, you know. I know it's a lot for the cops, so they have to deal with all the things they deal with, but the detectives and stuff like that, I was told over and over again, well, you know, they will contact me, they did nothing. I'm grateful to have my daughter stay here because they both were almost killed. My 14-year-old said, she was in that house fire May 26th of 2021. We were staying at my son's grandma's house because I couldn't stay at my own place because, you know, I was no longer taking care of him and his kid. So it was me and his cross complaint for PFA. The cops were there, they seen the videos, and he brought my friend down to my house and she had COVID-19. They weren't locking me up, they were letting me go. And I said, you see that my son's screaming, my youngest son's not here right now. He's at home. He better come. Ashley, her husband is my son's behavioral specialist. And he knows that he's in my home, he's works with my family, and knows what my kids will do. He couldn't come today, he didn't want to see or hear anything, he was enough, and he has to deal with it, he was very scared. My kids fear firearms, they always panic, and they entirely text or take me out of school beforehand, because they can't hear smoke, fire, anything they can't hear. Everybody in my household was on medication. I did bring pictures because all love is not genuine love, and love is not supposed to work. You know, the way that it was, but I bring some pictures because I just want everyone to see, basically from start to finish, that I did my PFA, I called 911 over and over again. Over and over again. And nothing. It was always we're going to get back to you, we're going to get back to you. They see broken windows. They see, you know, the neighbors telling them, like, yeah, he's here, like, who's got here, and, you know, like, well, we have to catch him on site, we have to see him there, you know, if we don't see him there, he lives in this area, or whatever, you know. He didn't live with me, he wasn't supposed to be in my address, I would have to see him, he's not supposed to be there. It didn't matter what I said. I'm still going to court this person. He's out on bail after he lit my house on fire and killed my son for it. My son was on life support for 5 days. And I'm so grateful that she's in here. Because she almost wanted to say, she almost didn't make it through 14. All because he was told no. It was over. He just could have just walked away and move on. That was for me to have to keep going back to the judges to release and stuff like that. I don't know why I should come back. It means nothing. It means nothing. It's a piece of paper that he's told to say that. And the judges are warning him over and over again. Just a warning. After you see all the damage he's done. This was just some. Even messages saying the level of what they're about to go through. I'm showing the detectives. Showing that whole week before my house was lit on fire. It took the one officer who was head of agents. And she's like, well, the detectives have not yet called you, we're gonna take you there right now. She seen my son sleep on the couch, my daughter was upstairs sleeping, and my son's pregnant was in the room. And her base words to me was, get that mother effort before he gets here. And we took keep out. She was my other mom. My mom is here sitting here, she was my mom too. And she was everything to us. No matter what, like just PFAs and DC numbers, and that's all I got for this order. It's like it's a little, the day that she was taking off life support, the day of this, right? It was like she waited to know that they were okay, and then she let go. That's how I felt. And I feel guilty because it was meant for me and not for her. No matter what, I blame myself, because we're here. And this is truly never get back. Grieving. Instead of being able to celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving, and he got to do all that. He was out there, all that stuff, all the Thanksgiving and Christmas is what he spent. The people that he loves and loves him. We don't get that. We had a new release of cake to nobody. We didn't get to hug her and tell her that we love her and her. Instead, we got the kiss the picture. And when we kissed the picture, that was my son's turn. He ran to his bird and screamed and cried to everyone that picture. I wrote that too. They all wanted it. She was a part of us. She was a big part of us. Like, trying to be sober. They were not we kept the family together. When she died, when she died, we all died. My son doesn't want to shower. He could care less what he looks like. It doesn't matter to him how he goes outside and make this. Like, this is not me. I could never make that accident, but at least for him to be behind bars because they ran into him. I went to the terminal and he's recording them, and they're saying things to them. Not a care in the world. No remorse for anybody but himself. Nothing that I can do will ever bring back except for just letting guys know that stand up here in front of my as you see. And fight it every single word. I know that all this is working because if you don't show up to one of the jobs saying, well, she don't care. She's not here. And we'll let them go. And all scot free. Homicide approved the warrant for his arrest for arson, attempted murder, and murder. And the DA has yet to say why I don't. After they notice, he has several PFAs with different women. I'm just the third one. I'm just the third one who's on medication or something. One, everybody's in another day. I'm very sorry about otherwise, but there's other ones out there that haunts people every day. No matter what we do, we're just, we have to be our own voices. No one's gonna advocate for you like you. You need to stop fighting and keep going. It takes somebody to know somebody. We never know who they're gonna meet. One of my favorite advocates was one of area issues that we discussed. And she speaks up for me. The best that she can. The best that she can. everybody for having us. I'm sorry for everyone's lost in this one. I know it was an awful feeling, an empty feeling.
Thank you, Corinne, for sharing your experience and what actually happens to you and not revising your experience based off of what others may want to hear. Because that's not always the case, and that's not the point of us being here today. So thank you for sharing your experience and your journey with us. Next, we are going to be hearing from Arande Blunt, who is seated to my right. Arande is a survivor of gun violence who has used his victimization to become an advocate for Philadelphia in terms of those who have been impacted by gun violence. He started the McLean Foundation, an organization dedicated to helping victims of gun violence transition to survivors with a voice that will not be silenced, and to ending gun violence in our city. So I invite Arande to come up and share his journey.
Thank you, Eric. My name is Lauren McLean. She said only got 5 minutes. Sorry, I need 5.5. I got shot at the age of 10. I got shot in the head. I was walking to the Chinese store. To the stairs like the Chinese store. Walked up the Chinese store and I turned around. I heard gunshots. I turned around and the Chinese store shut the door on me. And I was trying to go to the inside the Chinese store. I heard shots and then I got shot in the back of the head. Right next to me was 2 police cars. They didn't go chase the person that shot me. They picked me up and took me to the hospital. At the hospital, I died for 2 minutes and 17 seconds. I just want to pause right there because people don't realize that if you never died, if you never felt the pain that I felt, actually it was a really feeling. It's really hard to explain, but I was like in the best shape of my life. Like, I was calm as well. It was the temperature was right. It was amazing. I was calm as leather. Then somebody just kicked me off the ladder. And they kicked me off the ladder. I woke up 7 weeks later. I was in the coma for 7 weeks. I couldn't talk. When I finally started talking, I was speaking another language. I was speaking Latin. I didn't know English at all. Never knew Latin. I knew English, but I was speaking Latin. The doctors couldn't believe it. My family couldn't believe it. My right side is paralyzed, so I was in a wheelchair for 3 years. And fast forward to the next one. I was in a wheelchair for 3 years. I had to wear a helmet because I had to protect my brain. They took my skull and they took a piece of my brain out and restructured it. It took them about 3 weeks and they put it all back in. I was the first person in 2000 to have a gel-clean skull in the city of Philadelphia. So I had to wear a helmet for 5 years. Left side of my brain was still trying to harden. peace, me climbing that ladder. I tried to commit suicide 22 times. Not to praise suicide, but I tried to get back to that perfect peace. Like, the world was bad, I was angry, people was teasing me, I couldn't walk. I was just playing basketball yesterday, now I'm in a wheelchair. I wasn't understanding that. I questioned God, I questioned everything because I was a 10-year-old boy. So I tried to build myself a firm core, trying to drown myself, and I'm like, hold up, it's not working, maybe I'm here for a reason. I was in therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy for about 18 years. And I finally started to walk maybe about 2.5 years. I wanted to 11, but it still was like not a good one. The doctor, the thing that made me make it, I'm not 100%, and I think victims and survivors will never be 100%. I consider maybe 70%. But the thing that made me make it was the doctors. The doctors told my mom, listen, he's going to be a vegetable. He will never be able to walk again. He will always be on seizure meds. I was having seizures back to back every day. He will always be an aid. So they try to pull the plug and everything. And I had my interference with this doctor maybe about, I'm 32 now. I had interference with this doctor maybe about 12 years ago. I'm a nurse, I work for the government, I work at the VA hospital. I'm a psych nurse actually. So and I deal with PTSD. That's why I got into that field because I understand what they go through. If a car went past me and it shots, I would run to it or run out because it's PTSD is work. And I went to the doctor and I had a newspaper, I pulled a newspaper and I asked her, do you know this person? And she was like, no, I don't know. And I'm like, I said, I wanted to go with her. And I did. I just said, no, I didn't know this person. She got no, you can't be on my leg. Even if they I did. I had 2 jobs. And I was explaining to her, like, you can't give nobody bad news like that. You can't tell nobody they're not going to make it. You can't, that's not feasible for nobody to recover. You can't do that. I wrote this shit. And today with friends, we work together actually. She transferred. And I'm like, it's just miraculous that I made it. And I got a McCray Foundation, this foundation. I started 2 years ago because the city don't help me out. I'm just keeping honest. They don't help. This is a lot of people that do help, like in the capacity that they can't help. But they don't help at all, and they give you false hope. And I had a lot of interviews today that changed my mind a little bit, but still, I think survivors have to stick together. And we come as one, we don't need the city because we got each other. I feel like I would rather talk to another survivor than another psychiatrist. Because I used to get angry, I used to run out the room because they said, oh, I understand. You don't understand what I'm going through. You didn't get shot in the head, so you can't tell me you understand. And I went to about 13 psychiatrists. I can't deal with psychiatrists. But me and my job and my capacity, I go to these patients and say, listen, I'm not gonna say I understand how you feel, but I've been there before. You try to kill yourself, I did too. I understand, I don't understand what you went through, but please elaborate what you went through. And then I tell them my story, and then we connect. And I think the city doesn't do that. They don't listen to you, like you said. They don't listen. And then when something bad happens, then they say, oh, why you just say that?
I didn't know that somebody was gonna kill me.
Right.
I didn't know I was gonna get shot. That's not. So, I just tell my story and that's about it. And when anyone is yeah, I always call, especially survivors, they can call me 24/7. I love to hear everybody's story. And I can help. I'm on every major platform. That's about it.
Oh, you was gonna take the extra minutes, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Today is for you, so it's okay.
That was
Take
amazing.
as much time as you want to. And we have made also arrangements that are necessary to keep the show moving, so it's like all right. With that being said, we are going to take a short break for folks to just kind of have a moment to take a press, to breathe, to stand up and stretch their legs. There are refreshments at the back table. This break will be of roughly 4 minutes. There'll be a song played during the break. In addition to taking a break, we have what we have called Affirmation Station in the back. I know it's a corny name, so we came up with it, so we'll with it. Basically, what we would like for you all to do, if you would like, you don't have to, is write an affirmation on the notes that are provided at the back and place them in the basket behind them. What we'll do at the end of this event is place those affirmations in little satchels that everyone will be given. So your affirmation is not for you, it's for someone else. It's allowing us to be part of each other's healing journeys. So what I was thinking when I thought of this is, what is something that you wish you had received every day when you wake up? What words would you like to receive? And write that on that piece of paper, we'll place it in the satchel, and everyone will get one again. So we all have 4 minutes, and we will reconvene shortly.
Okay, great. On the phone for the weekend. Some of these stuff. You know, the neighborhood wants all.
Hello again, everyone. We are gonna invite everyone to take their seats, so that way we can be respectful of your time.
No.
Thank you all for participating in the affirmation station, as well as mixing and mingling with each other in this collective space. There will be some additional time to continue to do that. And the next voice you are going to hear will be from my co-host, I guess we're both co-hosts. Ramona called me a co-conspirator earlier, I didn't really like that, but co-host, Naomi, who will be introducing the next person who will take it away.
You know, it is a conspiracy to have the audacity to grieve in the midst of a society that would rather us not. So, yeah, we co-conspirators. Yes, indeed. Thank you all so much. I want to just introduce a friend, a colleague, a co-conspirator, a comrade of mine, Rabbi Linda Holtzman. I invite Rabbi Linda to share with you any of her own kind of personal story or affiliations and all of that. I will say that Rabbi Linda has been instrumental in the formation of and the programming of the newly formed, I guess it's not so new anymore, the Mayor's Commission for Faith-Based and Interfaith Affairs. We're a year old, so we're still new. And Rabbi Linda is a leader already in the city of Philadelphia, a faith leader, a scholar, and an activist, an organizer, doing work with power and interfaith. And so Rabbi Linda is going to come now and share words with us. Rabbi?
Thank you. We're still new, but you're still new. Yeah, we're babies. So take a minute and let's breathe together. Teach us to treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Oh, teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Oh, teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. So how do we learn to do that? How do we learn to take every single day, put one foot in front of the other, and just keep on going? In Jewish tradition, there's a time between Passover that just happened and a holiday 50 days later. In Christianity, it's like Pentecost. In Judaism, we see it as the day that the ancient Israelites left being enslaved and started walking and walked for 50 days until they reached Mount Sinai and were given sacred messages. And they walked day after day through the desert, not knowing what was going to happen. So what we do during these days, and something I want to invite you to do with me tonight, is count. Is count each day. We count the gifts that ancient farmers brought to the temple. We count by just saying, today is the first day, and we call this counting of the owner, which is the kind of gift that was brought, the amount that was brought. Today is the second day of the owner. Today is day 3, today is day 4, and we keep counting until we reach the 50th day. And then we know we have reached somewhere. But it's not the reaching that matters. It's the counting each day. And we count each day because we know that each day counts. So I can tell you that today we are, and Jewish days begin in the evening when it gets dark. So we are close to finishing up the day that was the 11th day. But I'm not allowed to tell you what day is coming up next, although you could probably guess. I'm not allowed to tell you because the next day has to just unfold as it does. And let us be in it, not knowing what might happen, what beauty awaits, what there is in the world, that if we're open, we can let ourselves experience. So there were mystics in medieval times who wanted to be in touch with every single aspect of God and all of the world's energy. They wanted us to know that we can't take it all in at once, but each day we can take in some, and each day it's different. Each week it's different. So this week is the Jewish week when we celebrate Gevurah. And Gevurah is strength, is setting boundaries. It's giving real foundation. It's knowing that we have power. And today is the day that we look at that strength and we see majesty. We see glory. It's called Od in Hebrew. We see beauty and we are grateful. So take a moment. Take a moment and focus on all that is strong within you. And the power that you have. Whatever has happened up till now. Right now, you have strength. And today counts. Today counts. And that strength matters. Every step we take counts. So hold that strength and notice the beauty within it. Notice the majesty. Notice the glory. Notice all that is beautiful within your own strength. And in deep gratefulness for that strength and for that beauty, we will count. So look deeply for the strength. See the beauty. And then I'll say the blessing in Hebrew and in English, and I'll ask you to repeat after me. This is the whatever day of the Yom, because that will make this day count. The Hebrew blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. We bless you, spiritual center of the universe, who makes us holy and commands us to count each day of the Omer. Now repeat after me. This is the 12th day.
This is the 12th day
of the Omer.
of the Omer.
And on this day, we own our strength.
We own our strength.
We own our tower.
We own our power.
And we see the beauty within it.
And we see the beauty within it.
Thank you, Rabbi, for that ritual and reading. The next voice you will hear is that of Lakeisha Anthony. I owe Lakeisha an apology that I will do outwardly, because I like to recognize when I have made a mistake and atone for said mistakes. I have been calling Lakeisha Washington, well, Lakeisha Anthony, Lakeisha Washington all night. And I realized at this moment that I've been doing so because I'm friends with that same last name. So I apologize, Lakeisha, but the next voice you will hear will be that of Lakeisha Anthony, not Washington. Lakeisha is a survivor, activist, and advocacy coordinator at Women Organizing Against Rape, also known as WOR. And she will come before you and share her story and share how she has allowed that story to transcend her and reach others and help others to process their trauma and utilize it to tell their story as well. So I welcome Lakeisha to the podium, and also thank you again for the tissues that were provided in the back that we all have been utilizing as we process throughout this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As she said, my name is Lakeisha. I am a survivor, an advocate, and I am the advocacy coordinator at WAR Philadelphia Center for Sexual Violence. We're gathered here tonight to talk about survival through healing. Healing is unique, and it may be one of the most important relationships that we can ever have. I stand in a unique position today as I have been in a relationship with healing that came by being in a relationship with WAR for over the past 20 years. It has been the most rewarding yet complicated relationship ever. A relationship I never wanted, but became the relationship that brought forth the second chance in life, a great sense of self. Year one of that relationship began when I finally broke my silence and emerged from an internal death. When we grow up thinking about life and what we want it to look like, when we grow up thinking about life and what we want it to look like, it doesn't necessarily resemble an internal death. It isn't something that we could ever think would occur. Sexual assault was nowhere in sight, or even on the radar of what it could possibly be. All we saw and all I saw was the bright moments of life that kept me smiling until I entered into a nightmare that seemed as if it would never end. This night snatched the joy from me, the smile from my face, and ultimately my life. I remember like it was yesterday that I was constantly told to smile, but many didn't know that I had no idea how to truly do that. Smiles are facial expressions accompanied by bright eyes and the corner of your mouth turned up to depict an expression that displays amusement, pleasure, or happiness. When life has handed you a blow after blow after blow, the latest being one that you can't ever see recovery from, your smile then turns to a frown, a sour look that expresses a contortion of your being. Who knew if I would ever genuinely smile again, or even live again? At the age of 8, I was molested, but of course I had no idea that this was wrong. So the seeds that were sown there sowed a form of disvalue of myself and my life. The little value that I did have decreased even more at the age of 19 when I was raped as a freshman at college. With that very act, I was more than physically violated, but yet I was stripped of my voice and the very essence of who I was. My ability to speak up and out, to think, to feel, to operate, and to live the abundant life that I was destined to live seemed to be shattered. I became a victim of more than just sexual abuse, but a victim of life due to the work mentality that this event left behind. The silence ate me from the inside out. It became like a disease that spread rapidly to other organs, and it began to show itself on the outside. Holding the darkest secret inside became extremely difficult. It caused cracks which allowed it to spill out in me in ugly ways. Depression was present. Post-traumatic stress disorder was present. Suicide ideation was present. All while I had a growing child inside of me that reminded me with every flutter of the violation that I had already just endured. Instead of opening my mouth, my attitude shifted. The way I saw myself in the mirror changed. My intake of alcohol increased. The thoughts of the world being a better place without me echoed loud in my ears. I was literally dying from the inside out. I suffered in silence for 12 long years, ashamed of what was done to me and believing that no one cared. That all this life had to offer me was the stigma and the pain of this experience. I later discovered that this life actually had something else to offer. It had resilience. It had purpose. It had power. This life had an opportunity for rebirth. Through healing and support, I was introduced into a life of public education and advocacy. I found my mode of freedom, which set me on a mission of healing. Healing out loud in front of the world in hopes to unlocking the cages of other people who found themselves dying from the inside out. I was able to turn my pain into purpose. Healing became my lifestyle and a guidebook for others. Advocating for survivors at the PA Capitol and testifying before the Senate to change laws and make history. Supporting survivors with opportunities to utilize their stories for change. For helping people to know that they were seen, that they're heard, that they're felt. Is what my life changed to. And I want to empower you tonight to say that no matter what you're enduring, no matter what experience it may be, that you too can make a difference utilizing your voice. Maya Angelou said something, and it's my favorite quote of all, that there is no greater agony than bearing the untold story inside of you. So I encourage you tonight to don't let the story die inside of you, but to release it. And whether you are a survivor, you are an advocate, or you are an ally, you too can be a catalyst for change. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakeisha, for sharing your experience with us in your journey through healing and through advocacy. And thank you for the work that you are doing. I had the pleasure of seeing Lakeisha in action on Monday when we were both in Harrisburg at the National Crime Victims' Rights Rally that the State Office of the Advocate hosted on Monday. And seeing Lakeisha in action, seeing her speak power behind her experience and her words was touching to me. So thank you for sharing that with us today. We have decided, again, because we're amending things as we go, to skip the next break and move right along into another survivor experience. The next voice you will hear after mine is that of Christina Liu. Christina is a senior at Central High School. She'll be attending University of Pennsylvania in the fall. Congratulations. She is, round of applause for that. She has been involved in advocacy for vaccines and for civic engagement amongst Asians. But after an incident late last year, she realized that she must continuously use her voice to advocate for what's right and help her community heal. I had the pleasure, I guess I'll say pleasure, the misfortune of meeting Christina last fall. She was the victim of an assault, and I was assigned as the prosecutor on her case in my previous career. And in my short time of knowing Christina in that capacity, she is an advocate for whatever she thinks is right. She has used her voice, no matter how young she may be, to speak out against what she truly believes in. So I appreciate you coming here after school, after a long day. I'm sure you have more work to do in Central. I'm sure you have work to do. To come here and share your experience with us. Thank you, Christina.
I just wanted to figure out this, I just wanted to thank the speakers that came up here who shared their stories. It's truly heartbreaking, but I admire you all so much to share a story. To in a way for me to feel connected, to see that I'm not alone. And yeah. I called my mom right after the November incident that occurred. And I repeatedly said, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Mom. I wasn't at all sorry for intervening in this situation, but I was sorry that I felt hurt. After visiting the hospital, I would close my eyes tightly, hoping that this was all a dream. But I knew it wasn't. My mom would scream at night and would cry with my dad until her inside. This incident impacted me and my family. I can imagine. Nightmares, restriction of public transportation, fear of being recognized, deterioration of education, and so forth. During the time I took a month hiatus from school because being around people made me anxious. I felt some teachers were completely understanding. It felt my parents constantly supported me, wanting me to come out of the darkness. It felt like a big ask to me, but I knew that they were empathy too, but appeared to be strong in front of me so that they could be my older. With no school and required assignments, I was able to self-reflect. And the most important thing I learned was that I'm still here. I survived. I will get better. In that mindset, I was able to start walking outside, going places alone, and smiling without actually thinking. Along my small but triumphant recoveries, my friends were there to let me in, give a place for comfort and laughter. I still had tough times, but I realized that I must come to terms with the fact that I will never be the same, and to grow from this point. I wanted to tell you my journey today because I wanted to reach out to the families that had either experienced or lost someone to violence. I mourn the deaths and the incidents with you, but I hope that you will come out of this darkness and find a way to celebrate their lives every day. As cheesy as it may sound, it's okay to not be okay at times. Always make sure that your #1 priority is your mental health.
During COVID, my family was disconnected because they feared the virus, so we didn't really have Christmas, Thanksgiving as a big family that we usually do. But after my incident, I saw how much closer we have gotten, despite the arguments we might have. And I know without a doubt, without them, I wouldn't have made the process that I did. Please keep your loved ones with you and always remind yourself every day you are here, you survived, and you celebrate the lives.
Thank you again, Christina. I don't mean to highlight your youth, but I would venture to say that short of these two young ladies sitting in the front, Christina is one of the youngest people in this room, and to hear her speak so profoundly and offer true gems to us is touching. It's heartbreaking that you had to experience the trauma that you experienced to get to that point, but I appreciate you coming into this space and sharing your story with us. So thank you. And last but certainly, absolutely, positively, 100% not least, the next survivor story you will hear is that of Michelle Parker. Michelle is a mother of 4, a grandmother of 1, who continues to speak out against gun violence and the trauma it ferociously inflicts on families. She is a graduate of Temple University and works as a healthcare administrator for Mainline Health. Even in the midst of the most painful journey of her life, she continues to tell her son Evan's story to ensure that his legacy and life's inedible mark will never be forgotten. Her tenacious spirit, encouraging demeanor, and compassion for others enduring pain is a gift and a healing mechanism for her on this journey. I had the honor of meeting Michelle early on in the opening of the office 9 weeks ago. And from that moment, she has been a force to be reckoned with. She is a voice for not only Evan, whose name I will never forget, and I did not have the honor of meeting Evan because he was taken from us. But I know Evan's story, I will never forget it. And this woman right here will never let this world forget the mark that Evan left. So I invite you to the podium to share your experience and your journey through healing.
I stand before you today, not as Michelle Parker, not as Evan's mother, not as a grandmother, but as an advocate to speak out against gun violence. I want to share a poem with you that I found the day after I lost my son. And just to tell you a little bit about Evan. I'm here to represent the dash in his life. Many of you don't know what the dash may mean. You may think it's just something that you use when you're writing. But his dash is from January 19th, 1998 to June 19th, 2021. My son's dash lesson. He was here for 23 years and 5 months. It has been 312 days, 6 months, 1 week, and 5 hours since I've had the opportunity to hear my son's voice. I will not stay silent or apologetic about telling Evan's story. And I'll wait to really share the poem, but I need to tell you from a mother's story what these 312 days have been like for me. On June the 18th, I was at home and I was taking a nap on the couch. I wake up to a shake. Hey mom, hey mom. Evan was the kind of child, and I'm not saying this because I was mother, but he was the kind of child that dreamed of. Scholar athlete. Prom king, junior and senior year. Graduate with honors from Mastery Charter School shooting mechanics. Went to Penn State. Junior deacon in church. You think as a parent that you're protecting your children,
by teaching them what it's like to really be a productive member of society, don't get in trouble, watch your surroundings, watch who you associate with. Make sure that you brush your teeth, you say your prayers, you go to school, you make something of yourself, especially as a young Black man. Because there's already a target on the back. Who knew that same target would be someone else that looked like him to take him out of here? On June the 19th, my son was shot in front of my home while selling a car. The intended target was not my son. To this day, there's been no arrest and no leads. And yet I stand here as a mother with no answers. I have 3 other children who are living. We stand with no answers. There is a pain and a hole in my heart that will never be healed. And as a woman of faith, I grapple day after day. There were many days that I was angry with God, but I've learned to turn that anger into action. So at any given moment, I stand unapologetic. If there's someone that I know of that's doing the right thing, I will dot you out. So if you want to call me a rat, so be it. I just have a long tail that you just can't chase. But like I said, I stand unapologetic. But to know that another life was taken out of here that had purpose and intention and meaning. There is, you can always think as a parent, what could I have done? I don't know. Luckily, I wasn't there, because if I were there, I would probably be dead too. I was on the Ben Franklin Bridge headed to a wedding and got a phone call from my neighbor, letting them know that there was a shooting in front of my house. They didn't even think that it was my son-in-law, but all they knew that there were 2 people that were shot who were lying on the ground. To have to identify your child at Penn Presbyterian on a gurney to make sure that that's your child, to be screamed at by people who worked at the hospital who treated me like common trash, that's what I went through. And I vow that if there's anything that I can do to make sure that another family goes through this pain, there were 1,100 people at every service, to the point where the funeral procession was probably about 2 or 3 miles long. But to put my baby in the ground, that is a pain that I will not wish on my worst enemy. But yet we stand here as people in this city, and we know sometimes that things have happened, but we stay silent. And it's not until it happens to your family that you decide to speak up. That's not okay. It never will be. But in the midst of my pain, there is a healing process that is taking place, that if I can help somebody else, then I know that my living is no longer in vain. And I will make sure that the dash between Evan's life and death date on this earth, I won't be silent about it. The world will know who my son was. And I really grapple with saying it was and it is. I don't say in memory of for a reason, I say legacy. Because the legacy that he left with older people and younger people and bosses and schools, I can't even tell them. And Naomi and I actually sang in choir. She had the opportunity to meet my son and see him as a little boy and growing up. And the only thing that I can tell you is I will never tell another parent I understand or I know what we're going through, because every relationship is very different. But for anyone who has never lost a child, there's no words in the world that you can tell me that will make it better, because it just doesn't work. I'm sorry for your loss is something that I no longer say. I'm very careful about the words that I choose, so I would encourage each and every one of you who know someone that has lost a child or a mother or someone to their violence. I'm sorry for your loss is empty and void. If there's something that you see and you know about, you have to speak up. We are losing far too many people. And sometimes I get angry because I'm like, why is it those who are killing are still walking and those who haven't done anything are dead? Because each person whose life is taken is not just a life. There are family members that are left behind that have to pick up the pieces. I tried to commit suicide twice, but clearly God had a different plan for me. So I stand here today, like I said, I don't apologize to anyone for telling Evan's story and to helping other people. And even in my profession, I've been in healthcare for 29 years. There's a difference when you have coworkers who also lost their children to gun violence like my son. So we stayed united together to try to, you're never gonna make sense of it. You're gonna ask yourself questions. You're gonna question God, and if you don't have a faith, there may be days you're angry. I'm coming up on my first Mother's Day without my son. I don't even know how to process it. His birthday was the first day that I went to his gravesite since landing there. It was devastating, I don't know if I can go back again. I'm coming up on the year anniversary of the day that he was taken out of here on June 19th at 2:24 p.m. in broad daylight. So the only thing that I can tell you is allow yourself the opportunity to grieve and to have the pain, and don't let anybody tell you how you should feel. Anyone who has told me he's in a better place are people that I can honestly speak with, because he's not in a better place, because he should be here. He had so much promise, and I promised and vowed to myself that I will make sure that his story is told and that other people don't have to face this, but because we all know it's our stark reality that it keeps happening. I don't have the answers. I could scream and holler and say, let's stop it, let's do this. I don't have the answers. I don't have a crystal ball, because clearly nobody has the answers because it keeps happening. But I stand here to let you know that it's been 312 days and I'm still standing. By the grace of God, by the prayers of many others, and just a focus and a drive that allows me to keep going and going and going and going and going, and I will not stop until God calls me. So for each one of the survivors, whether from whatever it's from, I encourage you to keep going and keep telling the story, and don't be apologetic about it. I can't tell you what it's like to be a victim that's still living with a gunshot wound, or sexual assault, or domestic violence. And I told you I am a domestic violence survivor. Don't be apologetic. I can't stress that enough. You owe no one an apology. People owe you an apology, but you don't be apologetic for what you've been through. And for anyone that is going through what you may have been through, you can never say that what you've been through is exactly what they've been through, but you can kind of be a conduit and be someone there for them. And if you can't do that, find your own healing space. I don't miss the therapy appointment, because I think if I didn't go to therapy, I'd be locked up because I would have killed somebody. And that's when I'm being very honest and real and blunt. But like I said, the world will know Evan Baylor, because I, his mother, and his family will make sure of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michelle. This concludes my, I guess, interesting ceremonies at the moment, but the next voice that you will hear will be that of my co-conspirator, as we pointed down, we've accepted it, believed in, Naomi, who will lead us, or introduce rather, a closing ritual and lead us into closing remarks to conclude the event. Thank you all for allowing me to be a part of your journey, for joining me in my journey, and collectively healing together. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm welcoming to the board now members of the Salt Trails Collective. Now, listen, what happened was, I'm in a little choir. It sings at the threshold moments of life. One of which is when people are crossing the threshold from life to death. So we sing at bedside of hospice patients. And we found out about this collective of folks who's gonna have a grief parade in West Philly. We've been talking all night about how much grief is suppressed in our culture, right? I said, who are these people who are inviting us to not only grieve, but grieve publicly? To take stock of our collective mourning, right? And this collective invited the choir men to come and sing at this gathering in West Philly. And it was holy, y'all. It was sacred. It wasn't a faith-based gathering, but it was sacred. We were on sacred ground together in the midst of our grief. And so I am a huge fan of the Salt Trails Collective because of what they invite us to do and ultimately be people who feel deeply, right? Who tell the truth about our losses. And so I'm gonna let them come up here and introduce the Salt Trails Collective perhaps more formally, but they are here to walk us through a closing ritual. I welcome members of the Salt Trails Collective. Let's give them a hand.
Thank you so much, Naomi. It is an honor for us to be here with you tonight. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge all of you who spoke and all of you who are survivors for your courage to share your stories, to live your stories, for your resilience and your strength, and most of all, for your grief. I am Nyla Francis. This is Megan Dwyer. We are part of the Salt Trails Collective. We are a collective of artists, healers, ministers, grief and death workers formed to invite grief into public spaces, to create community grief rituals, to let you know that you do not have to grieve alone. We were never meant to grieve alone, and to invite us to come together to validate and to witness each other's sorrows, to hold space for each other so that we can heal and grieve together. I'm gonna, in a moment, share a poem that I wrote for tonight as a blessing and invitation to healing for all of you. I'm gonna turn it over to Megan to do a brief grounding exercise.
Thank you, Nyla, and thank you. It's a real honor to be here, witnessing you all in your presence. And yeah, so right now, if you wanna, as Naomi mentioned about this coming into our bodies, and as well, Romana mentioned the feeling involved in healing, that you have to feel it to heal it. So I'm gonna invite you to see if you can sit up a little tall in your chair. You could close your eyes, but if you don't want to close your eyes, you can keep them open, because sometimes when we close our eyes, it can produce anxiety, or we can feel uncomfortable. You just might start to pay attention to your jaw, see if you can move your jaw around a little bit. You might notice your shoulders, if you want to move your shoulders a little bit. And so that grounding is coming down the body. And so you might pay attention to where your seat is. And then finally, can you bring your attention to your feet? So maybe you bring your feet flat on the floor and you wiggle your toes around. So this is that literal act of grounding. So what does it feel? Can you feel the soles of your shoes? Can you feel the solidness of the ground? And then I'm going to invite Mother Earth to come up and hold us all, because she's big enough and strong enough to hold all that we are and all that we may be carrying. And she, who experiences so much violence and death each year, she reminds us of our resilience and that rebirth that's happening right now with spring. So you might even imagine that your feet are on soft grass. Maybe you ask the earth to help you and support you and hold you in your healing journey. And maybe you bring one of your hands to your heart, or maybe you keep your hands just on your lap. And imagine that you could feel your heartbeat. Can you feel your breath? What I'm asking you to do is really a courageous act to come into the body, because that's where the body holds trauma, remembers everything. It is also the source of our resilience. Maybe you take an inhale through the nose. Maybe you exhale open the mouth. You try that 2 more times. Can you feel your feet and where they touch the ground? So another maybe inhale through your nose. Maybe you open the mouth and sigh it out. And can you feel the place where your feet touch the ground, or imagine you could feel that place? Take another inhale. And then exhale. Like you're releasing all the weight that you're carrying, or at least a little bit of it. If you want to open your eyes if they're closed, you can just look around and notice the space that you're in, notice who's here with you. To my left.
So this is a poem, like I said, that I wrote for tonight and to all of you. And now that Megan has invited you into your bodies, often before I share a poem, I will invite you to, if you're comfortable listening to it with your eyes closed, to do so, but to just be aware of how the words are landing in your body, how you are receiving them, where they may be resting, what may be louder for you than others. Where is the poem wanting to land in your body? This is still time. There is still time for this body to believe in gentleness, to be rocked in warm waters, warmer arms, scooped up by a sea blue blessing of yes, you belong. Yes, you are worthy. Cradle that holds you so dear. There is still time for this body to breathe. Trust what moves with air, says, now empty, now fill up. Remember wings, a bright balloon. No need to be perfect to inhabit the skin you're in. There is still time for this body to dream. Take what aches and find a thread of gold, amber glazed bleach where something pure remains, wants to be the rising that spurs a new day on. There is still time for this body to rest. Lay down in the green garden, wet wonder of the world that sees you becoming more than pain, more than story, gifts you back the beautiful creature of your own holiness, tended and tender love. There is still time for this body to know forgiveness, musk of myrrh, cherry bloom, song you croon to knotted nights and scars you wear, not just a badge for getting through, but how you've learned to hold your grief and let the sun back in. There is still time for this body to heal, shake off, peel back, untether, move in the language of river, hooved by warrior, some days patient, some days thunder, cleansed by the waters that flow, blow strength, freedom, deep into marrow and bone. There is still time for this body to become feather, float on a lilac-scented breeze, give itself to soft landings, open sky, any direction that comes. Here is a hymn of possible, spell for living, shimmer to keep in your eye. There is still time, still time, still time. And so we are going to read this poem again, but do it as an invitation to you to actually participate in some healing rituals that you can take home with you and incorporate into your own journey.
And some of it may involve, I want to invite the little kid in all of us to kind of come out, because we'll be using, again, this idea of embodiment as part of healing is crucial. And so, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so.
There is still time for this body to believe in gentleness, to be rocked in warm waters, warmer arms, scooped up by a sea blue blessing of yes, you belong, yes, you are worthy, cradle that holds you so dear.
So for this, I'll invite everybody, again, perhaps you close your eyes, perhaps you keep them open. But see if you could start to rock your body a little side to side, like, maybe imagine the ocean. This is where that little kid, the body will do this sometimes as a way for the nervous system to calm itself. And then maybe you start to wrap your arms around you. Maybe not. And just imagining you're giving yourself that love, or maybe it's somebody you've lost that you're imagining you're embracing them.
There is still time for this body to breathe. Trust what moves with air, says now empty, now fill up. Remember wings, a bright balloon. No need to be perfect to inhabit the skin you're in.
So invite everybody to bring your hands together like this. Again, everything we offer is just an invitation. You can do it whether you want to or not. This is another tool that's soothing or the nervous system. And so as you inhale, you might start to draw your hands away from one another, like they're expanding. And then as you exhale, bring your hands back together. As you inhale, can you bring your hands a little further away from one another, like you're stretching out your wings, and then bring your hands back together as you exhale. Just do that 2 more times. So we'll inhale. You can reach your arms even a little bit wider, like you're unfurling your wings. And as you exhale, fingertips back together. And then the last one, as you inhale, maybe you reach your arms fully. Stretch that space around your heart. Bring your hands back together, and then see if you can you sense the space between your fingertips? Take a big breath in. Release your hands onto your lap.
There is still time for this body to dream. Take what aches and find a thread of gold, amber glazed bridge where something pure remains, wants to be the rising that spurs a new day on.
And once again, you can either close your eyes or keep your eyes open. And I'm inviting you to use your imagination, so that's why I mentioned the invitation to bring the child out. You know, if I was to ask children to do this, they're always like, yeah. So you're just gonna imagine maybe, you know, in your imagination, you know, golden light or the light of a rising sun. And you might imagine that you're starting to scoop up that light and then let it, almost like you're running your hands along your body. And you could actually do this yourself, or if you just want to imagine that you're doing it, but imagine that you keep drawing that golden light from the rising sun, that place of rebirth, and you're letting that wash over your body.
There is still time for this body to rest. Lay down in the green garden, wet wonder of the world that sees you become more than pain, more than story, gives you back the beautiful creature of your own holiness, tender and tender love.
And so with either your eyes open or closed, could you ask to connect to that spark of holiness within you? Maybe, you might notice if your attention goes to a certain place in the body, or you see any imagery. One is going right to the heart, which a lot of many spiritual traditions says is where the soul resides, in that part of you that is ever luminous. So that you connect, ask to connect to that part, that spark of holiness, and that light. No one can take away from you. It's always there in the darkness.
There is still time for this body to know forgiveness. Musk of myrrh, cherry bloom, song you croon to knotted lights and scars you wear. Not just a badge for getting through, but how you've learned to hold your grief and let the sun back in.
So in honor of a song in this stanza, I'm going to share a little song with you that you're welcome to join in with us. It's just a few lines. It's, you can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teachings. Love is never leaving. You can't rush your healing. Niall's gonna help me sing, and you're welcome to join in and just do it 3 times. So, it would be helpful to connect to your breath. You can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teachings. Love is never leaving. You can't rush your healing. You can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teachings. Love is never leaving. You can't rush your healing. You can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teachings. Love is never leaving. You can't rush your healing. These words are by Trevor Hall.
There is still time for this body to heal. Shake off, peel back, untether, move in the language of river, hooved by warrior, some days patient, some days thunder, cleansed by the waters that flow, blow strength, freedom, deep into marrow and bone.
For this next part in honor of the water, we have little bowls of water that we're going to pass around. Again, it's optional. If you're tuning into us from home, you could imagine a body of water that you're rinsing your hands in, but in this gesture and honoring or connecting with the cleansing and purifying qualities of water, you could dip your hands in and just ask to release anything that's weighing on you in this moment. So you could pass it around, or you could just, if you don't feel comfortable putting your hands in or don't want to, you could just sit with the water.
There is still time for this body to become better. float on a lilac-scented breeze, give itself to soft landings, open sky, any direction that comes. Here is a hymn of possible, spell for living, shimmer to keep in your eye. There is still time, still time, still time.
So this is another little tool for soothing and calming the nervous system. And in honor of that, the hum, that there is a hymn of possibility. I'm gonna do a couple hums. So it's also known as a bee breath in the yogic tradition. And so you inhale through your nose, and when you exhale, you keep your mouth closed, but you make it's like a bee. So you might feel like a vibration. So we'll do that 3 times. So let's imagine we're all inhaling together. You can imagine that vibration is going to parts of your body that need healing. So do it 2 more times. Inhaling. For this last one, you might imagine that hum is going all the way down your body, and you could feel the hum in your feet. Imagine that you could. Taking one last inhale.
Just invite you to take a moment, place your hands on your heart. Maybe just notice anything that may have shifted for you, either in this ritual or through any part of tonight's program. Make it part of a little of gratitude, just to seal in whatever that is you'd like to carry home tonight, to continue on your healing journey. So very much.
Thank you.
Just a little while longer, oh Lord, just a little while longer, oh Lord, just a little while longer. Everything gonna be alright. Why don't you hold on just a little while longer? Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Why don't you fight on just a little while longer? Fight on just a little while longer. Fight on just a little while longer. Everything gonna be alright. Why don't you cry? Just a little while longer, cry on, just a little while longer. I feel like crying on, just a little while longer. Everything gonna be alright. I think we'll live on just a little while longer. Live on just a little while longer. I feel like living just a little while longer. Everything gonna be alright. But not crushed. Next. But not driven to despair. Persecuted. But not forsaken. Struck down. But not destroyed. And that's the hope. We can't recover what we lost. This morning will not be. And yet we are still here. And that means that the lie of violence, the work of violence, will not last forever. It cannot take all of us. We will last. There is still time. So keep crying. Keep holding on, keep fighting, keep cussing, keep demanding answers. Keep demanding answers. But hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on. Just a little while, hold on. Just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Maybe not tomorrow, but everything gonna be alright. Maybe not next week. But everything gonna be alright eventually. Everything gonna be alright. Let's go.